Y'all, we're here today to upgrade the solar system on our RV, and you've definitely got to see this.
It's exciting, y'all.
We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
1, 2, 3, listen.
That's right, y'all. Today we're really excited to show you the solar setup we have on our RV, as well as the upgrades that we're here at SES Indiana to get installed. This episode is not sponsored by anybody. We're only making it because we want to. And we approached SES Indiana over a year ago, if you can believe that, to get our original solar setup, which we paid for the whole thing. So after that original install, we established a working relationship with SES Indiana. And they called us up recently and said, hey, some of that solar tech that you bought from us, do you want to switch it out with the latest and greatest? And we said, absolutely. And you know we had to buy a couple of things too. I mean, you can't blame us for that, can you? We're going to give y'all a full tour of our whole solar setup towards the end of this video, so you're going to want to stick around for that one. Now, the first upgrade is one of my personal favorites. It is the Victron GX Touch 70. It's a big color touchscreen display that controls everything. And then behind the scenes we have the Cerbo, which is the communications hub.
So basically I need to get to that bigger black loom over there.
So those two that are side by side?
Yeah. The bigger one is the one I'm going to have to take out and rerun new wire over, because this wire is missing a leg because your current multi-plus one only has one leg.
Yeah.
We need 6'3" wire now instead of 6'2". So
the yellow and black totes can stay, but everything else needs to come out.
Correct, because I'm going to have to open this wall up too, because that's where all the guts of the operation is going to go down there. So unfortunately, I do have to pull quite a bit of stuff out.
So where do you want
You're
to
gonna pull this wall too?
Yeah, I'm going to have to get in there.
Okay.
Where do you want them to set everything?
I'll get a skid and we can just put stuff on a
Okay.
skid and I can wheel it around from there.
You're plugging us up because we drained it to 17%.
And if we were outside right now, we'd be getting lots of sun, lots of solar. We'd be doing just fine, but we're only getting 1 or 2 watts from the lights. They don't produce a lot of usable electricity. Now, here's a little preview. Something else is going to go in here. This is going to have to be notched out because this trim is in the way. What's going in here is just big enough to fit between the wood and the wall. So this new control module takes different wiring too?
It's actually all the same. It's just the control, the touch screen itself doesn't need all that stuff mounted to it.
Okay.
It goes to the brains of the operation, which is the Cerbo.
Right.
It's just an updated version of the color GX screen. So that is going to be where everything lands instead of on the back of the screen, as compared to what you have, which is right on the back. And then this comes down through the wall, goes to the Cerbo.
And the Cerbo connects in the battery bay, or?
That's going to be down below, basically right below the wall, because I got limited by 8 foot HDMI cables, basically.
Okay.
So now I got to get all these back down, including this wire, which is this one right here, which is plenty long enough.
Now, are there any particular RVs that are easier to work on or more difficult, or are they pretty much all the same challenge?
I wouldn't call it the same challenge. Every single one is different. It could be the same model off the same line, depending on the options in the coach.
Right.
Stuff is mounted completely different, so every single install is a custom install. There is no put everything exactly in the same spot. Even with Grand Design, like this fifth wheel, I could have another fifth wheel exactly like this. They may or may not have a generator in there, so that's going to shift things around. I mean, it all depends on the options that you guys get. So.
Yep. This is our old one. You see, it's the color controller. It has the buttons, and it worked pretty well. I mean, it definitely worked well. I liked it a lot. But it's not as intuitive as what we're getting. What we're getting is a nice big touch screen.
This is the Cerbo here. So I got it mounted now.
Oh, you can't even see it.
Yeah,
okay.
so it's going to be flush mount basically.
Oh, cool.
Which is good because then I can still get the cover in.
Yeah.
Because this HDMI, that goes up to your LCD up there.
Right.
That wasn't quite long enough. Normally we mount the Cerbo and all that stuff back here so it's out of the way and hidden.
Yeah.
In your case, it's not going to be, which isn't a big deal. But yeah, all these wires now are going to land in here instead of going up to your screen. So these are going to go on this side, which I got to shorten these significantly.
All right, you can see here, this is a new touchscreen. It's not all the way in yet. This is the battery monitor. So for the next part of our upgrade, we're going to get some better batteries, and we also have the new Victron state-of-the-art Multi-Plus 2 inverter.
Two.
Alright y'all, this is the Multi-Plus. 3000 watts, it's what we originally had. We're going to be upgrading today. This one is a one leg, which is good for, well, for example, we have a 50 amp RV. We're getting the Multi-Plus 2, which is going to have two legs, which means some appliances are on one leg, some appliances are on the second leg. This just has one leg, but if you have a 30 amp travel trailer or a 30 amp RV or a small motorhome, this could be all that you need. You should be able to have everything plugged into one leg, all of your outlets, all of your devices. You're probably not going to have a washer and dryer. If you do have either a really big RV or a 50 amp RV, you're probably going to want the Multi-Plus 2, where you can have everything, two legs, on one inverter. So that's the inside of the original inverter, the Multi-Plus. It's not just a hamster with a wheel. Batteries are a year old, time to get rid of them. Alright, so these, y'all, this was like this, and this was on top for the old battery, because the old lead acid batteries have toxic fumes that you don't want going into your RV. We don't need that anymore. Actually, we didn't need it a year ago when we got those batteries, but for whatever reason we just left it. Now take it out because it's in the way, and this is just dinosaur stuff right here. You go to lithium, you don't need that. Oh, and now we have a nice big beautiful hole. Everybody should have one of these. They're going to cover it up though. And they need the space. They need the space because of our upgrades. So that's another junction box like the one on the roof.
Yes,
Okay.
we use these quite often. So this is just tying the AC side of the electric back to your breaker box, back to the short cord. This is just where the inverter is inputting and outputting power.
Huh.
Grabs power from the batteries, turns it into AC power, and sends it through these wires. So these are the ones I got to replace because we're getting one more leg. So these wires here have a single leg, but we need double leg wires coming over here, two legs of wire.
So now the batteries might not have to go front.
Well, I think I'm still gonna have to move them forward.
Oh, okay.
That is much better.
Oh, nice. So America's terrible roads cannot undo our inverter.
It's not going nowhere.
So this is the heating pad for the batteries.
Because we don't like to stay out of the cold.
Yeah, so these batteries will discharge down to -4, but a heating pad will be beneficial if it stays below 32 degrees during the day. Then it will keep them warm enough to where they should stay in a state of charge normally. So this was designed specifically for, or ordered specifically for our batteries. You can get them different sizes. So it turns on to heat them when it's 43 or colder, and turns off, and there's absolutely no power draw once it's off.
Correct.
Good. And there are all kinds of different heating pads. We've seen them where they wrap around them. We've seen them where it's just a sticker that you slap on the side of it. This makes the most sense to me because it's between what should be cold, the floor, and the battery.
Heat rises.
I like it. Yeah, so this is our old battery. This is group 31, which means that it's physically whatever size 31 represents. This is group 27, which is a little smaller, especially if you have limited space. This is a good idea. It looks like it's a little bit skinnier, and I think Tim was saying that you can stack them on their sides. They're perfectly flush, and they can handle the weight. Not a big deal. So this is Tim. He is basically in charge of sales here at SCS Indiana, and now we came here to upgrade our batteries. So now this, for us, is the upgrade. We came from Reliant, which we were happy with, but this is the upgrade. Tell us some of the upgrades with your battery.
So there's a few things. This is a diagram of the build of that battery. We do consider the cylindrical cells a better build, period.
Right.
Okay. These are cylindrical cells. Yep, you're absolutely correct. The difference between these cylindrical cells and something like you're going to find in these batteries is they're going to be connected with no solder points whatsoever. We're going to use a 5 mil plate. You can see it's a whole plate.
So it's always in contact.
Yes.
And the rough roads and the earthquake is not going to take those soldering points over time.
Because there is no soldering points.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
The other part of it is the other batteries that that are being used out there, and that's just not whatever else is on here. But in general, they're typically using copper slices, like
right.
You know, and they're 2 mil thick.
Right.
We're using a copper plate that is 5 mil thick. It's a much more robust.
Better conductivity.
Exactly. Better overall draw between the cells, no matter how you slice it.
Wow.
The other part of this is going to be a good BMS. We all know that a good lithium battery also goes back to a good BMS. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because the BMS will take care of the cells themselves, mm-hmm. and that will constitute to longevity, more even draws. It's going to determine high temp, low temp cutoffs, the whole gamut, right?
Okay.
Hitachi was actually instrumental in designing this BMS, and Hitachi has a really good BMS. Okay, for lithium batteries. Where the battery manufacturer that manufactures this battery, on their board of administrators, they actually have Dr. Ravi Prasad. Nobody knows that name.
No, I don't know that name.
Well, this gentleman was actually instrumental in the lithium film, the thin film that goes in the actual chemistry of the batteries.
Right.
He's the person that invented that.
Wow.
So he's instrumental in actually the fundamentals of a lithium battery.
Right. And he's one of the ones overseeing this being designed.
Exactly. This is the reason why we're so excited about the battery.
Wow.
So
he took whatever they learned from fundamentals from the beginning, and now this is, version 2.0, 3.0, whatever it is.
Yep. When you talk about a rolling earthquake, right?
Yes.
We're really excited about the external of the battery as well. What they're going to use is what we like to call a ribbed construction. Mm-hmm. So if you want to start from the inside, this part right here is actually going to butt up against the cells of the battery. Okay. You do not want those things moving around and jostling. Right. Then you have an air gap, and then you're going to have another rib here. This is for structure. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to have another air gap and then you're going to have the outside, and this outside shell is going to protect the internals as well. So you bump this outside shell, and you drop it, whatever you need to. It's a strong, sturdy battery, and you're not going to have any issues with that.
This is designed and engineered in America, but it is not made in America yet. And this is the most exciting part about this battery to us. The Elevation battery is going to be made in America.
Okay.
They're building a factory right now to actually build the cells in America.
Really?
That's exciting to us.
Yeah.
So whenever we sell these batteries, purchase batteries, so on and so forth, we're supporting that.
Okay.
So to bring the actual manufacturing process to America, not just the casing, not just put the cells in the battery casing that's from China.
Yeah.
Not just to take the thing that's made from China, put the cells that are made in China, the BMS that's made in China, and all that stuff that's made in China, and then American worker says, whoop,
American made.
American made. No, we want.
So they're going to assemble the cells internally. They're going to make the casings. You're working with your manufacturer to manufacture these here in the U.S.
Here in the U.S. is a big priority.
Yeah.
Of the manufacture of these batteries. That's paramount.
And
it really is.
So those posts are copper, right? The square?
Yes.
Okay. That looks pretty
A
solid.
little more surface area on them, so it's going to be better contact.
Better contact, very rugged.
We designed them that way.
Tim said you can wrench on those all you want to. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that too. I've broken them studs free.
Really?
Inside, tightening it too much.
Oh, wow.
So does that make the battery not usable?
Yeah, basically. It renders it useless if you break it inside.
So what he's saying is he's turned these round ones to where they just start turning within the battery, so which makes it worthless, whereas these monsters, squares don't turn. Kindergarten geometry.
Have y'all seen y'all are selling more of these? Like, how long have y'all had the Elevation batteries?
Our first shipment was actually quartzite.
Really?
Yeah. We've installed a ton of these since then. We got 40 of them in at quartzite. They were sold that day. We sold them and installed about half of them that same very day.
Nice. I am guessing that this next year is going to be just as hot and heavy for solar because it's not slowing down.
Yeah. At one point out there, we had 7 RVs lined up one day.
Wow.
Wasn't all full installs, but we did at least do batteries or something on just about every one of them. And then a lot of them we had to bring them back here because we just ran out of time.
So what is this?
Heat shrink. It's just to make the battery cables look official. It insulates the copper that we don't want to touch other things.
Okay.
Yeah, it started out as that. You put heat to it and it shrinks right down and around. So,
And you always custom make those?
yeah, most of the time we have to because everything's different lengths.
Right.
Yeah. But basically it starts out as that.
And you get to play with fire.
Yeah, which is always cool.
So the last part of our upgrade, definitely not the least, is we got an easy start put into our bedroom AC unit. Now, we already have one in our living room AC, and the reason these are important is because when you're off grid and you just rely on your batteries, you turn on the AC, it's going to hit it hard, and it's going to take a major draw of energy out of your batteries. You don't want that. So the easy start gradually increases until it's at full capacity, and then your AC is running. It's a lot better than just hitting it hard and throwing a breaker. So now we have one for the bedroom AC, and we have one for the living room AC, and we can use either setup or both if we're really desperate.
Because we don't like being hot. Well,
No.
I don't like being hot.
All right, I feel like it's important to give you a comprehensive view of our whole solar setup. So here it is from the beginning, and we start on the roof. We have 8 solar panels. They're 200 watts each. That's the back of our RV. Well, that's where we wanted them to lay it out. So we have 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, and 1 each in front of and behind the AC unit. Total of 1,600 beautiful watts of solar energy. And here we have what we call our battery bay, but this is really the front cap storage bay. It's where you would put like a permanent generator perhaps. We have 6, count them, 6 100 amp hours elevation batteries. That is their state-of-the-art lithium iron phosphate batteries. They do have 120 amp hour elevation batteries that are the exact same size we hope to upgrade to one day. But look at this. They short it up with a bracket right there, and they put it on this board. Now, our old battery that the RV came with was where this white part of the board is, and it was sunken down below the main level of this platform. So they put this board down to strengthen everything up, and now it's secure enough and strong enough to hold everything. We're happy with it. These batteries also will discharge down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit. In other words, 4 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. If you want Celsius or Kelvin, you can do the calculations. They will charge down to, I think it's 33 degrees. But ours will actually charge much lower than that. We should be able to get 4 degrees, I hope, below 0. I hope never to actually test that in real life. But look, you probably can't see it, but just under here, the whole length of this battery array, we have a heating pad. It only turns on when it gets cold enough, and it turns off when it gets warm enough, so it's intelligent in that way, and it doesn't use much power. So this will allow you to charge and discharge, should be able to charge and discharge to below 0. Now, starting right to left, we got a breaker box. That's for the solar. That's the charge controller, Victron charge controller, solar charge controller, and here's that big beautiful multi+2 inverter. We do have other stuff here. Some of it's for the RV itself, some of it's other gizmos and gadgets that we have wired up, but this is mostly solar. Now, with ours, we know, and we've tested it, we can use both AC units at the same time if we don't have anything else going on. Alright, y'all, this is perhaps one of the coolest gadgets in our whole solar setup. This is the GX Touch 70 by Victron. Now they have a Touch 50, a little bit smaller. This is our bathroom door. This is our bedroom door. You see how snug it is? They have a little bit smaller if you want smaller. I like bigger. Now this thing has some cool graphics in it. And it does a whole lot more than I'm going to be able to tell you. You're going to have to reach out to Tim at SES Indiana to tell you more, or any of their people there. I don't know most of what this does. I'm still learning. But this is my favorite graphic. This shows you the shore power. And see, we're on the multi+2, remember? 2 legs. So there's leg 1 and leg 2 where it's sending the power. Here is the state of the inverter. Float, absorption, inverting, bulk charging. There are different categories it'll fit into. They'll explain all that. AC loads. I really like this. If you're just a details kind of, info geek and you like all the information you can get, it tells you which leg is using how much power. And if you know what's on each leg, you can really do the math and figure out what's using the most amount of power and manipulate your setup depending on your needs if you're boondocking. This shows you how much we're bringing in. Now remember, we have 1,600 watts, and you're thinking, why are you only bringing up 270? Because we're plugged into shore. But yet it's still using a complement of solar. Why? I don't know. But let's say we were on 15 amps. We're not, we're on 50 amps. But if we are on 15 amps and we still needed power, it would take even more from the sun because it would complement these two together, shore power and solar power, to equal 100%, which is what we have here. Now there is a little bitty battery gauge down here, and that tells you technically that it's at 99.8%. This is more fun to use. Look, this also shows you DC power. That would be 139 watts of this, I'll tell you, is our 12-volt refrigerator at the most, and the rest are probably lights. Some of you may even have a DC television. I've heard of those. That would appear here. But whatever you do, whatever you like, this is going to tell you what you're using. Now, for the menu, I can't get into most of this. You got to call Tim and ask him about this. But we can go into settings. They have all kinds of settings. You can hook this up to the internet, and stick around because I'm going to show you something even cooler than this Touch 70 after we're done showing you this part of it. But let me show you one thing. Multi plus 2. Go into that. Look, if you're using 50 amps and you're a 50 amp setup, great. If you're on 30 amps, I can go in here and say, all right, I only need 30 amps. Don't take more than 30. If you're on a generator, you're on a small generator, you can move that up or down, and then remember what we said? It'll take your 15 or 30 amps and limit it to how much it withdraws from the shore power, and then it'll take the rest from the sun because you have all those solar panels up top. And this works in a van, a Class B, a Class A, motorhome, fifth wheel, travel trailer. You can do this kind of thing in any of them. Now let's go on to the next component. You're going to love this. Alright y'all, we just looked at the Touch 70, the Touch 70 control screen. Now we have the Victron Connect app, where it shows you your battery gauge, your charge controller, and your Cerbo. And you can connect via Bluetooth to all of these as you're sitting in your easy chair doing some work. Whatever you're doing in and around the RV, you can connect to this. It'll show you how much battery you have and history of it, trends, all kinds of information. It'll show you your charge controller and how much sun you have coming in. And it's going to show you your Cerbo and information about that. But this is not even the best part. Remember, these are done by Bluetooth if you're in the area, if you're around your RV. Very handy. The best part is the Victron VRM app. You see how it says to rotate your screen? Let me show you why. Boom, look at that. What does that look like? That looks like a mini version of the touch screen, right? But this is not done via Bluetooth. This is done via the internet. You could be anywhere that you can get the internet. You can log into your secure Victron account online, and you can not only see what's going on, just like you could if you were there, but you can also control it. There's the menu. And now you have the same control that you would if you were right there touching the control. And the best part about this whole thing is that if you're a customer like we are of SES Indiana, you can give them permission to access this. So then if I have a problem and I'm right in front of this, or I'm right in front of my touchscreen and I'm like, listen, I don't know what to do. You can call them, you can email them, their engineer on staff or their technicians can get right in this system here using the online portal you set up or they have you set up, and they can do the adjustments. So if you're a customer of SES Indiana, they can do the diagnosis, they can do the adjustments, they can change the settings, whatever needs to be done remotely, and that's really cool. That gives us, Sean and I, a peace of mind to know that we don't have to all of a sudden become an expert, because Victron's pretty complicated. But these people at SES Indiana, they are the experts. They can help you remotely, and you don't even have to watch them work. They can just do it behind the scenes and let you know, hey, all done. Isn't that great?
So we love SES. We have been there twice now. We have felt very at home when we're there. They will do anything to accommodate you. Like, I had to work and they would let me know if they needed to turn power off, so I could wrap up what I was doing.
And they let us have the slides out. They put us in bay 2, so the slides were out. We have a rear office, so can't access that without the slides out. They were really good to us.
And they have restrooms there if you need to use the restroom, if your RV is being worked on at the time. Something else that's they're adding on to their facility because they're just so busy.
Y'all look, this is where they're planning on expanding. The last time we were here, this was nothing but a hay field. Now they've bought the land and they're building another one of these over here. Look at this. And didn't they say they were having a new feature with that new building?
They said the plan is to add a dump station. So now, I mean, they provide you electric and they do have a water spigot where you can get water, but they also will provide a dump station because sometimes you might be there. If you're planning on staying in your RV 3 to 4 days, maybe even 5 days, so you're going to want to dump when you're done. So that will be very convenient.
Yeah, because if you get a big system, like when we got ours the first time, they said, why don't you hang around for a day or two? Just use everything, get used to it. If there are any kinks, if there are any issues, then you're right here and we'll fix it. Nothing needed to be fixed per se, but it's brand new to us. And if you're spending some money on a new solar setup, you're going to want to get used to it and you're going to want the professionals right there to help you. So they invite people to do that all the time, and they'll just have more capacity for it.
Yeah, and we probably would have stayed longer if we would have had access to that dump station, which we hope y'all build, because the other dump station didn't open till 10, so we kind of had to go hang out at a campground the night before so we could leave first thing in the morning. And then you get to meet other RVers. I think we met at least 2 or 3 other couples that were getting their RVs worked on, and it's just neat seeing the excitement. They're all excited,
Everybody's excited there when they get their stuff installed.
And you get to see like they're gonna go boondocking, what are their boondocking plans, and you can kind of get tips. Some of them are pros and have been doing it a while and they just want to upgrade, and some of them are like brand new, just getting a whole new install, and they're so busy they're training people too. So we got to meet some new employees there. And they go to Quartzsite. So if you're not able to make it up to Indiana, check them out at the RV Quartzsite show. I don't know the exact official title. And
they do installs there too. They bring batteries and solar panels, and you want to be one of the first ones in line so they have time to get to you.
So we highly recommend them.
Yeah. We really love our solar setup too, don't we?
Yes, and now we're officially heading out west, so we're really going to put it to the test and let y'all know how it works. We haven't got to use it that much because we've been in regions where there's not much boondocking to do. But when we have got to use it, like
Harvest Host and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Walmart, we haven't had to pull our generator out. In fact, we have to force ourselves to pull the generator out because it needs to be run every once in a while, but we don't need it because of the solar system, and campgrounds lose electricity or something. I felt kind of weird. We were in this campground and they had a big storm come through and everybody's without power. They're all standing around and we have this light that shines under our stairs and it's like a blue light, and I'm like, I don't want people to wonder what's going on with us, but if they did, we'd be like, hey, we got solar. So it was really neat.
Yeah, we've had that numerous times where the power goes out in the campground and we don't know about it until later on because we still have full power. So
and we got back and I was like, oh, we can't open the fridge because you want it to stay cold. And I'm like, wait a minute, our fridge is fine. It runs off our batteries. So.
And we have the 12-volt fridge, which is great for boondocking. So the solar definitely helps with that too. So if you stick around with our channel, we're going to have a lot more real-life experiences with our solar setup, and as we get upgrades and improvements, we'll bring them to you, we'll show you, and we're going to tell you the truth about what we like about it, and if there's anything that just maybe doesn't measure up. So stick around with us, join us for our journey, and we'll show you everything about how we do it.
And we'll also let you know if we can use our Ninja Foodie.
Oh yeah.